Hi, my name is Justin Miller, and I want to give a shout out to all those landlords out there. It's been a tough 2 years. Luckily, the moratorium is over, and I hope most of you came out of it unscathed, but I know many of you did not, right? Rent was not paid. And when rent's not paid, the mortgage might not be paid. And if the mortgage is not paid, then who knows what's going to happen with the house? Are you going to have the house to get money from for the next year? Are you going to sell that property? Who knows? Well, as long as you have it, I want to talk to you about a second way of making a little passive income utilizing that house. And that is mining crypto with radio, or rather, helium mining. That's what most people call it, and I'm sure if you do searches, you'll find most people talking about it in terms of helium mining. And basically, what that is utilizing one of these hotspots that you're seeing right here in order to make a little extra HNT, which is the cryptocurrency that helium uses. So, to take a step back, if you're not familiar, Helium is a company that is building its own network to power internet devices. And it does have quite a number of companies that are already working with it, paying in order to utilize that network. But in order to create the network, it needs people like you and me to put hotspots in our houses in order to create a wide area network all over this globe. Yes, it's worldwide what they're trying to do. So this puts us at an advantage since as a landlord you probably own a couple houses and well, they need as many houses as possible to have hotspots in them. Now, that being said, let's talk about how you get paid for those. Now, I use this tool right here, hotspotty.net, in order to monitor. And I have, as you can see, four hotspots, which have made me this year almost $900. Um, and that's a great thing, right? That's what you're starting to pay attention now. Almost $900 this year. That's right. And consider the fact that I put my first one up at the beginning of the year and then slowly every week added another one until finally I now have four hotspots up. Now, these hotspots are located all over the city of Denver, or outside of Denver, I should say. And in order to make money on them, what happens is hotspots using this proof of coverage system that they have witness beacons of other hotspots, and that is the majority of how it makes money. In fact, you can see here that the majority of my money that comes in is from witnessing the beacons of other hotspots, and about a third of it comes from being witnessed. So someone seeing my hotspot versus me seeing their hotspot going off. Now, I have, as I mentioned, four hotspots. This is the one at my house right here. As you can see, it sees quite a large area where the other hotspots that I have see much less. And as I'm showing you here, keep in mind that the thing you should be looking at are witnesses, so how many people can see my hotspot, and beacons, how many hotspots that I've seen over the last, 7 days in this case, and for witnesses, 5 days. Now, that's not the only information that you need in this process, but I'm just going to go back. The other piece that you need to keep in mind is that all hotspots are not created equal. Based off of their location determines how much money you'll make from them. So there's a what they call transmit scale. When there are too many hotspots in one area, the rewards are cut in half, or rather shared between them. And in fact, as we zoom in here, we can see how some of these places have 6 or 4 or 3, or I think there's one here that has 15, 18 hotspots in that vicinity. And so the rewards are divided enormously. And so the fact is, even though I'm seeing many hotspots over the period of 7 days, most of them are in bad areas, so I'm recouping my money by seeing so many. Versus, for example, this hotspot this hotspot here at my family member's house that sees half the amount of beacons in 7 days, but the majority of those are green or a transmit scale of 1. So, just something to consider as we're talking about this here. Now, what's great for you is as you're planning this out, you can actually use Hotspotty to figure out locations. Under locations here, you can actually go in, create a new location, and by utilizing this data, then go somewhere and figure out whether it's going to work for you or not. So this data here is all Detroit, as you can see. And this is for a landlord that I know that has 15 houses. And utilizing this Hotspotty, I was determining whether or not they could actually make money or not. So I'm just going to click on the top one here that is located on Ashton Street. I don't want to give a lot of details. But first of all, you can tell which ones here on the left side are actually on the screen because they have a little tiny circle around them. So I can jump between them. And in most cases, and I'm going to assume it's just like you probably have most of the houses that you own all located in one general vicinity, so you can go there and collect rent. And that's the case for this landlord right here. Now, what's nice about hotspotty.net is it actually tells you on average what kind of area it's in. And here's the thing, most of my hotspots are pretty good. They're in transmit scale of 1, and being in a transmit scale of 1 tells you that probably the other hotspots around you are going to be in a transmit scale of 1. This particular house here is very unique. So because we're in transmit scale of 1, we're close to other ones. Now, this one here, unfortunately, even though we're in a transmit scale of 1, it is hitting mostly downtown, so not as good. And then we hit this one here, which is in a really bad area on its own, transmit scale of 2.8. And you can kind of guess if it's in a bad area, it's not going to make as much money because of the hotspots around it. So just something to consider. So as I look at these 15 houses that this landlord has, this one here on Westbrook, it's not going to do well, probably because of the other hotspots that are already very close to it. These already have poor transmit scales. So most likely I was going to focus on these 9 here, which were all in a mediocre area. It would be great if they were in a good area, but beggars can't be choosers, right? We have these houses, we're gonna try to make lemons out of lemonade, right? Or make lemonade out of lemons. So that's what I'm trying to work with here. And in doing my research, I started adding little tags, as you can see, which is right down here. You can go in and start adding tags. So I was determining, for example, which ones were 2-story, which ones already were connected to Xfinity with internet. In many cases, your renters may or may not have internet. And these are things to think about because for the hotspot to work, it requires a couple things. First of all, it requires an antenna, and have that antenna placed in a good area to get the most amount of rewards, as well as getting a high dBi antenna. We're going to talk about those two things in a second, but the other issues are that the hotspot needs to be connected to the internet. So that's why I noted whether somebody was already using Xfinity. Quite frankly, you want to make sure that someone is connected, that they have, it would be great if they had unlimited internet, which to me is because they use 15 to 30 gigs, the hotspots do on average. They don't use a lot of power, only about 5 watts a day, but they do use a lot of internet. So that being said, you definitely 15 to 30 gigabytes. They don't need high bandwidth. They just need at least a good amount of internet to be able to utilize. Plus, the people in the house are probably using the internet. So all of that in consideration, you want to make sure that there is unlimited internet. Quite frankly, that's the way I feel about it. As well, you need to make sure that there is a port that is specifically open, which means you probably have to go into their configurations of the network in the house and make sure that this port is open to 44158. And because of that, quite frankly, my opinion is pay for their internet. Now, if you can make even point 0.5 HNT, which is worth $22 right now for 1 HNT, so that's $11. That means that $11 a day, you'll be making $333 a day. I'm sorry, $333 a month on average. And so if you're paying 65 bucks for their internet, that is small compared to what you'll be making by having the hotspot in the house. And plus, I honestly think it's good to be able to make sure people are online. I think it's nice that people have access to information. So that said, I would definitely recommend just paying for their internet and getting the hotspot in. And that being the case as well, I just talked about putting it in their house at the highest area possible. Now it's your house. If you can get it outside, that's great. But I'm dealing with Detroit right here as I'm looking at it. And when it comes to Detroit, I don't want to put it outside. What I do know is some of these houses, or most of them, are two-story houses, so that means they have an attic that is fairly high. I would put it in the attic. The attic probably has access to the Wi-Fi, meaning Wi-Fi signal can get through to the attic, so that's good. And the attic probably has some sort of plug or light that comes on up there, so you can probably plug in your hotspot in the attic. That solves a lot of problems. And then again, just put that antenna as high up as possible. And for an antenna, Helium generally limits things at around 9 dBi. So one thing you could look at is an 8 dBi antenna. One of the standard ones here is this 8 dBi fiberglass antenna by Rack Wireless. That's one I'd recommend you check out. Also, there's this Rockland 8 dBi antenna you can look at. I'm actually considering even jumping higher than the 8 dBi antenna. I noticed Rockland sells a 10 dBi antenna. And yes, I did say that we have a limit about 9 dBi, but keep in mind, I don't know how old these roofs are. They could be like an inch thick. They could be only using 3/8 board. So I don't know how much dBi loss you're going to get from putting it in the roof. So maybe 10 is the way to go. I have not tried a 10 yet. I've tried a 9 with amazing results, and I've tried an 8. 5.8 did not do it for me in an attic. So consider at least starting at an 8, if not jumping to a 10 and just seeing how it goes. So that is what I suggest for people. If you have houses, and first of all, you go put them in to hotspotty.net, put them on the map, see where they are in relationship to other hotspots they're going to hit. Check out some of the other hotspots that are in the area. If you click on them like this, you can go in, take a look at their rewards, see how much they're making. Like, okay, this guy is only making $19.97 in a month. So it makes you start wondering, is it worth doing? Let's try this person over here. This person made $56.75 in a month. If you don't want to look here, one suggestion I have is jump back into explorer.helium.com. I'm going to just jump over to that area. And what you can do is look at more details about some of these hotspots. So trying to find the general area that I was just in a second ago. I believe it's up here. I'm going to grab these here, and I can look at what's in this hex. Yes, Helium uses hexes, and I can say like, okay, well, let's see this hotspot. Okay, this hotspot's doing well. In 30 days, it was making $113.14. And it's using an 8 dBi antenna. That's about 8 meters in the air. So, you have a higher up antenna with higher dBi, you're going to get better results. Let's jump over here. Okay, I'm just going to look at one that's bad. Okay, this one's dead. This one is not even working. I'm going to jump over here. Ooh, Smooth Brick Zebra. Let's compare Smooth Brick Zebra to the other hotspot within its location. So he's making $354.35 a month. Again, 5.8 dBi antenna, 8 meters up. So that looks like it's working. Let's compare it to the other hotspot in the area, which is 1.2 dBi, which is the default antenna on the hotspot, and it's 0 meters. And yeah, they're getting $71.54. So you can make money, but if you don't do any of the other things I told you, like put it in the attic, get an 8 or 10 dBi antenna, it's not going to make nearly as much as it could. So we're optimizing here, and we're optimizing within the boundaries of what we have to work with. But also do the research like this. Check it out. Figure out what other hotspots are doing around you. Figure out where they're hitting. Like I said, I'm going to go back here and go back to Smooth Brick Zebra, and you can see what they're hitting. Maybe you want, like in this case, maybe you want and assuming that the geography works. I mean, sorry, I should finish saying what I'm saying. Maybe you want a directional antenna. A directional antenna pointed at all of this green area. The one nice thing about Detroit is it's flat land. So the possibility of getting over here is very plausible. That being said, I love looking at Hotspotty here, and you can see in here, and you'll need to go into appearance settings and turn on elevation contours, but you can see the elevation of where everything is located, and that's okay. That's the concern right there. You can see that dividing line. So even from this point here, if I use the directional antenna, I may not be able to get higher than this elevation right here, this divide. So that could be an issue. So these are things you'll want to consider, and at the end of the day, maybe you want to test it at one house before you test it at multiple houses. But I hope you do. I hope you check this out. One last thing I'm going to mention before you go is important aspects to this, which is how do I go about getting a miner, and how do I go about getting paid. Okay, the miners are available from, well, if you go under helium.com to mine, you can see all the miners that are currently available here, but most of these are out of stock. They're back ordered. Everybody's on pre-order, hard to get. This is what I recommend. If you really need miners, let's say you have 15 houses, you need miners, go to Get Minted, MNTD, getmntd.com, and sign up for the newsletter. You sign up for the newsletter, they'll let you know when they're going to be dropping new miners. When that happens, get there at that day, at that time, get ready with your credit card, know what your maximums are, and just so you know, you can only buy 5 at a time. So get the 5, or just get 1 to try it out, see if it's going to work for you. But you have to be there at that time. The last drop that Minted had sold out in 15 minutes, and because there were so many people clogging their network, there were database issues. So my suggestion is also get the gold. Most people aren't after the gold. They're cheap. They're going to be going after the black. So don't go after the black. Go straight to the gold. Also, the gold comes with a little extra VIP support. And quite honestly, if you find out your miner's broken or some other issue, you're going to want that VIP support. These companies are not supporting their miners very well. And so having that VIP support option to get it fixed as soon as possible is key. I have had a miner that broke. It took me 3 months to get it fixed. VIP support, I say that is definitely the way to go. Okay, one last thing. When you have your money, you're going to go in, you're going to say, yes, all right, I've got a whole bunch of HNT. I want to transfer that into dollars. So even though this shows that I have almost $900, that's only because I'm showing it in US dollars. If I switch this to HNT, that is really what I have in a wallet. I got 40, almost 41 HNT. And what I'm going to need to do is use a place like Binance or crypto.com to transfer that money into US dollars and transfer it into my account. Now, that being said, I don't know how often you want to do it, but consider this is sort of like stock, right? The market fluctuates, just like, well, quite frankly, the HNT that you make per day is going to fluctuate. So does the market. That's life. Things fluctuate. Um, and so, that being said, as you can see here, if I go back to the beginning of the year, things were not nearly as good. Let's see, here's the beginning of the year. The HNT was worth like $1.32. Now it's worth, well, $21.83. So, yes, the amount of money you'll make will fluctuate depending on when you go and you sell your HNT. Maybe you want to keep it. Maybe you want to wait till it goes up to a point again like when it was $26.75. It's up to you when you sell it. But once you sell it, you can use a website like Binance.us or Crypto.com, the app, to transfer that money into your bank account and, well, call it a day. You've just made that extra cash we just talked about. All right, that's it for me. I hope that was helpful. I know I had a lot to say, but I'm really excited. I'm really excited. I'm excited to see. I just put up that last miner, clever blonde tadpole here, and so far it's. I mean, it's not doing great. It's only making maybe $7 a day, but it's a start. And quite frankly, I knew it was going to be one that's not going to do as well. It was in a place with a bad transmit scale. The neighbor 2 houses down had a hotspot, but at the end of the day, I only had 4 locations at this time, which I could personally know I could drop a hotspot in without having to work with whoever lived there. So that's what I'm going to do. Now, in the future, that being said, I'm going to look for areas that are green. I live up here. In fact, here, I'm just going to jump over to, oh, no, I was looking at Smooth Brick Zebra. Okay, I'm going to jump over to my hotspot, Long Marmalade Shrimp. And I can see I'm doing so well here. And if you look, I have a whole subdivision here where half of the subdivision, at least I'm going to say 7 hexes. Sorry, 7. No, no, one. Well, maybe 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, I'm going to say 4. 4 hexes aren't being utilized, so I'm going to be knocking on some neighbors' doors and seeing what agreements I can work out. Hell, even if I have to pay for their internet, that's fine with me if I can get some hotspots in there. All right. Well, that's it for me. Please like and subscribe if you want more information like this. I realize this is just, free flow thought that I got going on right now for you. But, well, hopefully it's worth something. Like and subscribe. Have a great day.